Order. Griggs County Commission on, what's the date today? The 8th of July. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Stephanie.
Here.
Dale's here. Want to look over the agenda?
The only thing that changed from what I sent to you last night is we did get a Games of Chance permit today.
Do you think we should be talking about the new sheriff's vehicle that we've allotted money for, that we should be thinking about ordering it maybe pretty soon, since it takes a long time to get vehicles? Or do you want to talk about next meeting? That'd be fine too. And what do you think?
Have we got the full amount budgeted for it? Or is it?
It will be
It'll
after.
be, so they'll pay half this year.
Half is in this
Yeah.
year's
Yep.
and half is
Not
in next.
necessarily, because last year it was over the $40,000. It was 54,000 last year, wasn't it?
I think we budgeted 50. I think
You
we put
budgeted
25 each
25
time.
each time.
25, I think that's right.
I think the setup was a little more than.
But I mean, do we have to buy one? Are the other two wore out? You
Okay,
know, it isn't necessarily,
okay.
so let's put on.
On agenda for next month, next
Yeah.
time.
You know,
Okay?
we were always gonna arrive at a mileage figure or a
Yep.
year, a number of years we used it, should we assume?
Yep.
So that's future business though.
The tax equalization, since we don't have that sales ratio, do we still have that or do we not?
We can have it and then just keep,
And then you guys can just talk
we can talk
about
about
what
what we
you.
did and then just
Okay.
keep it open. We'll keep it open.
Apologize for that. It won't upload.
Oh.
Of course it won't upload.
Do you have the, did it give you the estimated numbers or whatever?
Of course not, because we couldn't upload it.
We get errors and stuff because fields are not.
Now if Stephanie was ahead of schedule, I would have had her do it 2 days ago, so we would have been for sure at the paper, but I did not anticipate errors.
No.
Mhm.
That's the way it works.
I don't think 2-day lead time will do it. We've been trying to get it straightened out for 7 years.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Mark to approve the agenda as presented
I'll
with the
second.
addition of Games of Chance.
It's already on there.
Oh, it is on there,
Yep.
okay. Oh, there. Very good. Is there a second, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll look over the June 17th meeting minutes.
So there was some caught errors from what I sent you last night. The roll call up on the top, that was incorrect, so I've now added those people. And I had Mark not being there and then Mark making motions, so I did get that fixed. So that was where the corrections that I made since I sent it last night.
A motion to approve the minutes, meeting minutes, and disperse with the reading.
Motion by Stephanie to approve the minutes as presented and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Look over the vouchers for past month.
There was one that I received today from Amber. If we could add on, I know you guys don't like add-ons, but this one is overdue already. It's for the Office of the Attorney General for $1,395, and this is for scram bracelets.
Overdue due to our
Yes,
negligence or theirs?
ours.
How much was it? 1,000 what?
$13.95.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, there was 3 weeks in between your last meeting then from this meeting, and so that's why this one got pushed a little further.
When did it come in just now?
I don't know when Amber got it.
Yeah.
She just gave it to my office this morning, so.
Did you make it known to her that we usually like to get our bills in?
Mhm.
So that, okay,
Yep,
so
yep,
in the future, she can.
yep.
Is there any that you see, Sam, that are out of the ordinary?
No.
Would you tell us if there was?
Yes, absolutely, I would.
Hey, a question, what's Electronic Watchman Incorporated?
So Electro Watchman, that is our alarm system.
Oh, okay. Oh. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills, including Office of Attorney General for $13.95.
Motion by Stephanie to approve the bills with the addition of the Attorney General's office for $1,395. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Yes.
Scott?
Yep.
Mark?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. Review the monthly office reports.
Water Board's monthly office report didn't get into you from last night. Received it this morning, so that's been added since it was sent out last night.
make a motion to approve the office reports as presented.
Motion by Scott to approve the office reports as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do you want to go into recess and do tax equalization?
Sure.
I'll make.
Do we need a motion to
Yeah, motion
recess?
to do that, yeah.
Okay, so move.
Motion by Mark to recess county commission meeting and open the tax equalization meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Griggs County Tax Equalization meeting at this time.
Is Connie around?
She is. Would you like her to come?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay. Do you guys want to hear my update on the sales ratio?
We do.
I'm so good at it. In any event, I did call Kim and I talked to her and explained the Red Willow.
No.
I went over it and she says, yes, exempt it. Put code 23 in though and use it that the reason they're exempting it is because since we didn't have an assessor here to reassess it during that sales time, they're going to exempt it out. With that being said, and I agree with her actually, is that we should get all of Red Willow reassessed now that it's no longer, now that it's been changed. So I think they should be reassessed. But
Well, the reason that, so what happened was the property was always listed as pasture land. It had little or no value.
right,
And then when it's sold, then once it's sold to the board, which was basically a condo board, the Lake Association bought all the property.
Yep.
Then they sold it off in parcels to the individual landowners, individual cabin owners. The cabin owners then a lot of times filed the title,
yep,
put their title onto it. The reason it should be exempted is because it was not an arm's length sale. So the cabin owners were forced to pay whatever the seller was selling it for because they didn't have a way to remove their cabins
right.
from the property. So they could have asked anything they wanted, and there they were. They had to pay it. Because somebody else could have come in and said, well, I'll pay you the $3 million and I want a private lake, and by the way, you have no leases here. You guys, everybody get your cabins off this property. So there's no reason to reassess it. There was a reason to exempt it because it's not an arm's length sale.
Oh, it's exempt for sure.
Yeah,
That
but I
is
mean,
exempt.
but pending a reassessment, it won't change it any.
Okay,
Nothing should be because it shouldn't change it because they never should have had to pay the $70,000 for that lot. They were extorted because they didn't have any choice.
right.
Because Haynes owned all the property, is that correct?
Yeah, but yes, Haynes has owned the property,
Right.
but it was still assessed at pasture land.
Pasture land, wasn't
But
it?
so now it's changed completely, so shouldn't it be reassessed because now it's no longer pasture land, now it's people's lake homes with land and house?
But
Shouldn't that be reassessed?
But no, because the cost, the price of the value of the property didn't change. It only changed because Haynes's were able to exact a price out because there was no fair competition.
Okay.
So if say your house was sitting down there on someone else's property and you didn't have a lease,
Mhm.
and the property owner said, I want $500,000 for this lot.
Yep.
You couldn't say, and they said besides that, you don't have a lease agreement, you can't move your house off here. Either pay me $500,000 or I'll put it in the open market and you'll have to deal with whoever buys it.
Right.
You would say, oh, okay.
Well, I mentioned that. She said this was the safest way, to do the arm's length sale. And she said the better way to code it is that exempt it because they were unable to assess it. So
That just kicks it down the road, and then it will be the same issue next year, and you will put the township and the cabin owners through the huge expense, and the entity, whoever's got to pay for the assessing of the expense of assessing it.
when's the last time it's been assessed?
Yeah,
I just think it's changed completely, so I was okay with
When
it.
was the last time it was assessed? 2011. It's one of the newest, biggest pieces of property that's been assessed. It was assessed in preparation to build this, to try to get the property values up so they could have a bigger tax base.
So,
So that piece of property, Red Willow Lake, has been assessed. That was the last large piece of property in the county to be assessed.
and that, and since it is on the lake, these properties, she said it's better for us to code it as a lake shore, don't code it residential. Because you don't want to compare, and again, you can argue with me all you want, but it's not me, it's Kim. And I was like, I'm not arguing with you, man. You're the state, I don't argue with you.
Where does Kim live?
You know?
So Griggs County, we're supposed to do what's best for Griggs County. So in your scenario, let's code that lakeshore property. Then what do we do with Hannaford and Binford, who are now lumped in with Cooperstown?
Right.
They'll claim, well, our values aren't worth what Cooperstown's is, and Cooperstown will claim, well, our values aren't worth what Hannaford's is. What are we going to do? So are we going to reassess everything then?
Right. I think it'll help us in the end, because if it's an own little entity, it won't affect us the whole 20% for all residential, because there's such a huge change.
Who's
So what's going to
us?
happen when let's say for instance, somebody sells their lake lot to
Yeah.
a different person.
Yeah.
Like you sold yours to him, whatever. I don't know if you live there now. I don't know where you live, but say you sold it to him, to Scott,
Yeah.
and we put it on our sales ratio. Now that's no longer an arm length sale, and we're going to have a lot that's assessed at 10,000, and let's say you sold it to him for 100,000. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what excuse or what exemption code am I going to put on it next time? Because I can't do an arm length
It
sale.
won't. It'll start from there. So it'll start from there, but one property doesn't change the value of all property. So it'll start from there. So this year's sales were not arm's length, so they can't be used. Any sale going forward that is an arm's length sale, truly an arm's length sale, can be used.
Okay. Because that's going to be a huge change ratio. So our ratio is going to go look really bad on that one.
No, it won't, because now it's lumped together. It's lumped together with the cabins are sitting on the property, which now increase the value of that property.
Right?
Right. So it's completely different. It has to start from that portion, right, from that position right there.
Okay.
See, before they were lumped together also, but what Haynes's did was, because you can't charge property tax on a building. It has to be sitting on a piece of property.
That you own, right? Or not own?
No, it doesn't matter. So in this instance, Haynes's property was valued with whoever cabin was sitting on it.
Okay.
And the Hayneses were responsible, correct me if I'm wrong here, Connie, but Hayneses were responsible for the property tax and for all the land around Red Willow. They collected individually from the cabin owners in order to pay that property tax. So they've always been lumped together. What happened here then was that piece of property got extorted to a higher price.
Right.
And now it's all part of the same piece of property, individual property now, but a lot of them haven't even cleared, and there haven't been deeds filed on a lot of the property yet, I imagine.
Most of it has.
Most of it has. The ones that were mortgages for sure.
Oh, there's only a few properties that are still owned by Red Willow Cabin Association, and I don't think there's even homes on those.
Okay, so everything that got sold now has been a deed filed on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. So if we just
And because there was
start-
one legitimate sale in there that was from somebody to somebody.
Yeah.
And I still exempted 0 with it not having somebody to properly assess it. Kim told me to exempt all the lake cabin ones, those sales, as a 0, and take them off and use the code 23 and then write in due to not having somebody available to assess all of those sales. That's why we're going to exempt them. So that's what I put in there for her.
How does that affect our residential, did she say?
Those are exempt, so you don't get to count them.
Right.
And then, of course, we don't have the actual report yet because I get glitches when I was uploading it. So,
But I would
So there's
suggest
that.
that we use a different code. I would suggest we use the code that identifies that they were not an arm's length sale. Because using the code you're talking about is gonna present us with this whole problem now next year of having to assess all those properties, and that is a costly affair.
How many cabins are there?
Oh, there's 75 of them. But it's the
Time and effort.
no, it's the cost of the entity. It's so
Yeah.
that will be put on to Willow and Rosendahl Township will have to then pay for the assessment of all those properties, and it's not a cheap process.
No.
The last time they assessed Red Willow, what was it, $111,000?
okay.
So I think we should use a code that will not be reoccurring. That 23 code will be reoccurring. They'll say, okay, you haven't assessed these properties, when are they gonna be assessed? And I don't think they need to be assessed.
Okay.
The valuations will change as they come up for sale in the future.
Correct.
That will
Yeah.
create a true
Yep.
market value.
Yep, because they have a value right now. And the value was as of 2011, correct?
It depends on the property.
No, they reassessed all of Red Willow.
Yeah, but some of them were reassessed gradually. David did a few.
No, 2011, before this was built. 11 years ago. All Red Willow
Right,
was done,
right,
yeah. And
right.
David wasn't wrong.
No,
No, he just did some of them that had been upgraded.
yes.
So the values of all those cabins are, if you look at them and compare them to a home in Cooperstown, they're much higher,
So
much higher.
code it. I'm going to code it and I'm going to throw it through like that and see. She can call me later if she has any questions, but I'll put that in there.
Yeah, always remember, she's not in charge of us. It's the other way around. If you start letting them run our business, then we are in trouble.
Okay. Okay, I will do that. Because if I put 23, we're just saying
We're just saying that we just agreed then to spending $100,000 of money that we don't have, and actually the townships are gonna be obligated to that, Rosendahl and Willow.
okay.
And again, they were just assessed in 2011. That's a fairly new assessment, and they're all up to date. There's many $300,000 homes assessed up there.
Okay. I'll throw it in there and submit it.
Very good.
But I don't know how to do and the rest of it, we'll just have to.
Wait until we get the upload of the.
Okay, so the upload, this is due by a certain date. I emailed her to say, hey, when does this need to be uploaded by? And I was waiting for a response from her to let me know when it's due. Because we might have to meet, if we could possibly meet again to review that. So we can submit it.
And then the commercial properties, it
Yes.
looks like we're gonna lower those.
To put them in line with what we use for the valuations on the other properties, we don't price anything to 100%.
And the baseline of those is 90%?
I think we've done like 91 or 92, haven't we, in the past, to stay in the threshold?
Yeah, just so you're above
Because they don't have to be at full value.
No, but does the state, what do they use? They use the 90% or they use 88% on that? As far as the lower end? They have to be between, the range between, is it
I'm not
90%
certain what it
ninety to
is.
100 or 88 to 100?
It's 90,
The cropland's 90, I know.
yeah, I think it's 90.
And we've taken that to 0.5% of the bottom
Hmm.
number of times.
Do you have what the cropland is,
No.
the percent?
It's at, is it-
They were just being estimate yet, wasn't there?
No, we know what exactly.
What it was last year.
Cropland is, for 2021, what's been put in there. If you want to increase it, right now it's at 91%.
No.
So I don't know that you'd want to increase it at all.
So that one we can leave.
It was on one of the sheets you got last week, 91.54%
I
right now.
never saw that.
And that's with the 8% increase that they were talking about? Or they wanted
Who
us,
was talking about?
the state was,
No, that would bring it
Yeah.
up to 100.
that would put
That's
it
to
to
take it
100.
to 100.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we could actually take that to 90.5, 90.5.
Currently, we're at 91, so. According to this.
Mhm. So then, in the state's meeting in October, they'll look at what our values are, and they'll determine whether or not our values are where they need to be, which begs the question, why do we have to do this anyway? And they will then instruct us as a county commission if there needs to be changes to increase. They'll never tell you to decrease them. They'll tell you to increase them to a level above 90%. And then if we refuse that, then they'll make Samantha do it. So I've always been of the assumption, I like Samantha, I'd like to protect her, but I've always been of the assumption that if someone wants to raise the taxes on the citizens of Griggs County, they can do it themselves. They're not gonna force me to do it to be the executioner.
Because it looks like they look like they wanted a 6% increase or a 5.28 5.2 to residential to get them to 90%.
And of course, their strong arm tactic is that they don't have to just take it to 90%, they can take it to 100%.
Yeah.
Which they've never done.
They usually go 95.
Yeah, and they haven't been called out on it. They should be called out on it because that's extortion, of course. If we can raise it to 90%, then the highest they should be able to raise it to is 90%.
Yeah.
They're using 5% as a punishment. That's not the way it's supposed to work. But we haven't made any progress on that. So where it stands, I don't know. We're basing everything on sales ratios, which the Century Code clearly states is only one of 4 different factors that can be used to determine property value. No, excluding the agricultural property is production based. We don't have any choice there.
But its sales ratio seems to be the only one that the state uses.
That's their favorite tool.
Yeah, because that it can be used indiscriminately. You can pick and choose. You can say, well, if that property went down, well, that went down because it's in disrepair, so we're not going to use that. Well, this property went up. Well, yeah, of course, property value is up. We're going to use that. And then their preferred method is to have us on a computerized system where now they can punch in that raised that piece of property, and it will go all across every property in Griggs County.
For 2021, look at that.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I just drove around Cooperstown here, and I think the citizens of Cooperstown are going to endure some tremendous tax increases with the streets and everything else. I don't wanna be in the same sentence with the rest of the people are gonna get cussed at here. And for what purpose? For what purpose? So, I don't know what to do here as far as they're gonna raise it or we're gonna raise it. And it was nothing you did. We've been in this position for the last 7, 8 years. It's,
Would we be better off though if we did it, so then they can't go higher than us?
They don't seem to.
it doesn't matter. So if they go higher this year, they can't do nothing next year. It doesn't make any difference. It'll catch up.
Yeah.
From my perspective, it's better if you guys do it because for one, then I'm not forced to do it, and for two, then I'm not sitting there waiting until I get that letter to tell me if we have to raise everything, and then taking that time to raise everything and before I can even start levies. So it kind of delays the progress. If you guys do it, I know my numbers, I can then start my levies right away after you guys approve the budget.
Don't look at me because it won't be unanimous.
I
vote.
know.
Is 90% the threshold?
I believe it is.
I think it is too. In all classes.
Seems to be what they wanted.
With that being said, I'm sorry.
So,
Is there anything we can act on without the sales ratio study at this point?
I
You
don't
could act on, you could set the commercial property, you could set the agricultural property,
At 90, both?
90 and a half, I would say, we say. We've never pushed it any closer than that.
Okay.
And we don't know the residential at this point, so.
Sorry.
Well,
Not your fault.
When you set the commercial, I would just ask that you include in the motion whether you're including commercial land and structures or just structures. In the past, the residential things have been just residential structures that are raised. But whatever you specify, that's what'll get changed, so that's what I wanna know. You just say residential, I assume that it's both, but I don't know if that's what you mean.
Okay.
Say that again. So commercial,
So both commercial and residential have a breakdown, residential structures, residential lots. Commercial structures, commercial lots. And in increasing or decreasing in the system, you have to put in either RS for residential structure or RL for lots, or CL or CS. So, and you can put in both. I just want to have it clear so I know that I'm doing it right, the
Yeah.
way you want it.
but the structure, if you put in structure, that includes the lot. That's a structure and the lot that sits on.
No, not, in the code of programs, they are separated. There's a separate value for a lot and a separate value for the property that it sits on. That doesn't show up on statements because there's no room to separate it on statements. But that's what's in our system. So when we change, if you're gonna change anything, I need to know if I have to change lots and structures, or just lots, or just structures, you know, whatever you're changing.
They can't make it simple, you know.
No, I know. I mean, if you just say we want to increase, I would increase both, but maybe you don't intend that, so that's why I'm asking for clarification.
In the past, you've done both though, right?
Yeah.
The structure and the
No, because Hannaford specifically increased structures only
Okay.
for residential, not lots. Why? I don't know, but even though I'm on the council, I don't know why they did that. But that's what the motion was. So just to confuse you a little more.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Clarification.
that's not the way they're taxed, you know, they're either taxed as an individual lot, a vacant lot,
Mhm.
or as a lot with a building on it, but the building on it, they shouldn't be broke out. That must just be that must be a software glitch, shouldn't there? They shouldn't be because they are one entity, you know,
Is it lots
you
that have a
pay-
house on it or a structure on it, or
Because-
and lots that have nothing on it?
Because the lots, there have been cases where the lots are valued at maybe 2,500 for 3 lots. I don't know where that is. Somebody sells half a lot.
Mhm.
We don't have to figure out, okay, how much is just the lot worth, because we already have the breakdown for half a lot. So we can divide that by 12.5 feet, or, 12.5
Yeah.
feet of that lot goes, or 70, whichever way they divide it.
Okay.
But it is more helpful to have the lots value separate from the residential,
Oh.
as far as when people sell stuff.
If they split it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to
Right.
reassess it.
And there's always somebody splitting
Just say
something. If you go against.
So it should, I mean, it,
But where,
we shouldn't penalize people that have a structure. Of course, their lot isn't getting. I don't know.
but we need to know where the increase then is. Is the increase, to get the 100%, is that in structures or is that in lots?
No, but
Maybe lots haven't changed in value, but structures have, and we can lower structures to 90%.
Well, it would make sense, right, but how would you keep track of that going forward?
I have no idea.
So then why not just lump them together, and if you do a percent increase or decrease, do both of them, and then you have a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Will that work, Connie?
Yeah. Whatever way you decide to do it'll work. I just.
Mm-hmm.
Just have to know what it is.
Because most of the time, the value of the structure is the value of the lot. If you buy
Absolutely,
the structure, yeah, so I mean, when you go to buy a business or a lot, you don't say, well, here, I'll give you this for the lot and this for the business, because they're one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I think of like Cheyenne Tooling, those lots to the west of the old Melrose building have nothing more than a propane tank on them.
Right, I know, but those are commercial vacant lots.
Yes,
And
yes.
there is a difference
Yes.
there.
Yeah,
So I would suggest that we just raise and lower them in conjunction, same as on the residential side. If we have to do that.
okay, I move that we lower the commercial to 9% to 90%.
To 90.5%,
0.5.
90.5%.
Try to do 90.5.
Yeah,
Okay,
whatever it takes to get it there.
Say that one more time. Your motion is to,
so we'll lower the commercial.
9.4%.
That'd be fine. That'd be 0.6 then, I guess.
9.4%.
9.4%.
Motion by Mark to lower commercial structures and lots 9.4%.
See, I think we should amend that a little bit, because sometimes those valuations change when the state looks at it. I think we should lower it to
Meat.
the 90.5%, so that it doesn't matter what the gross number was. It
Okay.
matters to where we're getting to.
Are you gonna throw the agriculture one in there also? Can we do them both in the one, or want to do different motions for those?
Different motions we can.
Okay.
So
90
maybe
point.
Mark would amend his.
Sure. To lower it
to 90.
0.5 instead of the 9 point. Yep.
It avoids any problems.
So we have a motion by Mark to lower the structure and lot value of commercial property to 90.5% of value. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Now, according to this, we should be able to lower agriculture by 0.5%,
To the 90.5.
90.5. I'll make that motion to lower ag values to 90.5.
Motion by Mark to lower agricultural values to 90.5 of assessed value. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Scott.
A symbolic stick in the eye.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And then I will let you guys know when I get that upload done, so we
Sure.
can do the sales, one more meeting for the sales.
Good.
Perfect. Sorry.
Residential.
No, not your fault.
No, it,
I know.
It's one of them computer guys' troubles.
Yeah.
And we had a first time, too.
Well,
First time I ever voted yes in the equalization meeting.
Oh, look at that.
I'll make a motion to recess the,
Or adjourn it, okay.
no,
no,
we gotta have it open one more time.
Oh.
yeah, recess the equalization meeting.
Motion by Mark to recess tax equalization meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stephanie. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Call the Griggs County Commission meeting back into order. Suppose we need to start on the budget, or do we want to do the other stuff? Any preference?
Maybe we should get the rest of it out of the way first, and then we'll get through the whole budget, I don't imagine. Why?
Yeah, why don't we get the tax director application?
So we received a application for the tax director's position. This gentleman did call into my office to make sure that I received it. He was very polite, very nice to talk to. So it's just a little extra, I guess.
So we really don't have what he's looking for, though. We don't have a full-time position.
Did the website tell how many hours it was for them, the position?
I can't remember. I think I said it was 3/5, but I don't have a laptop right now.
Okay. Okay. So what is considered full-time? 40, 36, 37?
37 point.
And this one is how much?
That would be 3/5.
Okay. Okay. What, should we contact him, let him know that, to be aware of the hours that he will be receiving, to see if that is enough?
I think wouldn't the protocol be to notify him that it's a 3/5 position if he's still interested, that he could come and interview?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want me to set up an interview if he's willing, and let you guys know? When would you guys like to do that? Do you want to do it more than, because I am not doing it.
If he's still interested in the position with the hours, he's aware of the hours, then yes, I'd up for.
And the there's no benefits for that or anything either, is there?
3/5 would be benefits, but it's only 3/5 of the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you want to have his interview be with the whole commission at the next meeting? Or at one of the meetings, or what are you guys thinking?
How do you guys typically do it? Do you guys do
Yeah.
I don't remember what we did in the prior, we didn't have a separate meeting.
No,
for
I
it.
think two did the interview just so that then it wasn't a meeting. You guys kind of did a like had them be a committee so that then it's those two could kind of take care of it and then come back with a recommendation for the
Okay.
commission.
Well, I'll go with, me and Steph can do that if you want to. We can talk to and interview them.
Okay.
Us two. If
You
you
got
want,
it.
if you want to do that, Steph.
Sure, I like to interview people. Does the state have an interview protocol form to fill out during interviews? Some places do.
I think if we just have them come in front of all of us, I think that'd be a better solution. Instead of just having, then we don't have to make a special appointment, we'll just do it. He can do it in front of all of us.
Do
Well,
I?
that's the way we've always done that, because
Okay.
well, technically, it takes each one of our votes in order
Yeah.
to achieve
Right.
a majority.
Yeah.
And if we have a committee of two recommending, that basically takes away that
Yeah.
individual vote.
Okay, got this, but,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to,
Yep.
That's fine.
No,
I'll
I
do
think,
whatever.
I think we just get him to come.
Or do you want to do a?
Okay.
If he's still interested, schedule him for next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm cool
Is that
with
the consensus here then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Games of Chance permit.
There's a chance, and no.
You guys usually do these ones, Maple Lutheran Church.
There's a raffle.
Yeah. For a quilt.
All right.
Oh.
We have the same people basically every year,
Yeah,
and
sure.
so then when I get questions about them, for like a new event, it kind of throws me off. So this one is just the same.
So I'll motion to approve this.
Motion by Stephanie to approve the Game of Chance permit for Mabel Lutheran Church. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Weed and Lap Program.
I had a couple, actually a farmer talked to me about this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he's asking, I guess my question is, how does the program work in that? Because you looked at for money for it like before and there's nothing there.
We
What did you need before? Give me the spiel, please.
we didn't renew our commitment with the state because it requires us to put 3 mills aside for that program,
Okay.
and we had very little
Precipitation.
Can't spit that out. We didn't have very many people that were interested in participating in it.
Okay.
I think I don't remember how much it was. It was less than $1,000, I think,
Yeah.
that went out, and we had to keep $60-some thousand captive to do that. So
And it had to be, and it was available. We had to levy it on every year. We
Yeah.
couldn't, so, the program makes 0 sense. Well, why should the taxpayers of Griggs County pay for you and I to spray weeds on our property? It's laughable that we even think about that.
What does it do? I don't know what it is.
is a cost share.
This gave free chemical to farmers to spray weeds on their properties.
Noxious weeds like leafy
So
spurge.
if you went and sprayed your weeds, then you would submit a map to the weed officer,
Yeah.
and then they would submit it. And it was a program that through this the state,
Yep.
we would get reimbursed for that, and then we could reimburse the landowners for that.
And was that 50% cash, 50%?
It was they would
I don't know.
come in and give us like a dollar figure, and I don't know what that is. Since I've been the weed officer, we haven't had this program, so I wasn't up to date with all of it, but I know that it was up to a certain dollar figure the county would get back. So then it would be, how many applications we got. We could either do, reimburse them 100%, reimburse them 50%, reimburse them 75% to see how many landowners actually participated and how much funding Griggs County got.
But but
So-
in order to do that, we had to levy $3 $60,000
Every year.
every year. So the question remains, I'm a farmer, I come in and get free chemical, you pay for it, do I come and mow your yard for you then?
Well, I was gonna say, the whole $65 that I would use to spray my dandelions, I could have put that in there.
No, they don't.
Only-
No,
They're not noxious.
you don't get to. Well, you see how absurd it was. So it's $60-some thousand across Griggs County to benefit just a very, very few people
Right,
who are spraying their own property anyway.
right.
And we have a county program in place to spray the public ditches and things that are the responsibility of the
The
county.
county
Right.
roads.
So absurd, and it's a carryover from years ago.
Okay.
And
Noxious weeds.
it's just chemical, not application.
Not application. But again, the public, you go ask the public, do you think your tax dollars should be going to use to spray John Wakefield's cropland? And people are gonna say, I don't think so.
But wasn't part of the program to try to control leafy spurs years ago? Wasn't that part of the?
It was,
Yeah.
but
Correct.
before there was a control, but there is now, I mean, any noxious weed we have is easily controlled.
Right.
And if it's my private property, I should control it on my private property.
It was a program that was great back then, but now no longer needed.
I'll go with the no longer needed.
Right.
I don't know if it was ever a great, but it certainly didn't serve a useful purpose as far as tax dollars being spent.
That's
Okay.
why we elected not to continue with it. We thought the expense was too great for the benefit that it gave the
Because even as a
taxpayers whole.
township,
And it put it at risk too. So we had to levy every year $3 million.
It was $60,000 we had to put aside just for that.
Yeah, and if someone would have come in and wanted to use that, we would have to spend it. It was available in the program.
because even as a township, if you have to spray a ditch on section
22.
5 and you can assess the cost of that spraying to that spot.
Yep.
And if the
Township-
landowner
the
does
town-
not,
Township can't.
yes, if the landowner doesn't take care of it.
Care of
Just
it.
like we do mowing of ditches
Mhm.
and all those sorts of things. So,
But so yeah, the program wasn't used. There was 2 or 3 growers that used it every year, and that was about it.
and I think as far as leafy spurge, what the county agent has done with bugs has probably done more good than what any of the spraying ever did.
But whoever the landowner was, you can tell them that if there's weeds on public lands, he should inform Samantha, and Samantha will inform Wayne, and Wayne will go spray them.
Well, I think the only instance that would pertain would be like around name lakes.
The townships don't have an agreement with the county to reimburse them?
No,
No.
Okay.
no.
You charge it completely to the landowner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our-
It's their responsibility to keep the
Yeah.
weeds off their
And
road.
we
off their
used to,
ditches.
like our township, we used to have, in our budget, for spraying leafy spurs in townships. The problem is the guy used to do it, he lost his commercial license,
Yeah.
therefore you couldn't get any, and of course you need insurance, liability insurance,
Yep.
which is outrageous.
Yes.
So, yeah, you know that, somebody else. And therefore, nobody can afford to do it.
Nope.
Because of that, so.
Okay.
But that's the best. If they would've left it, just give us the money, it would've been fine.
But we had to keep that 60 grand every year.
Or 3 mills, so.
Three mil.
Had to levy it every
Levy
year.
it.
We couldn't even carry it over.
But you couldn't carry it, oh, really? So nobody, oh. Okay.
Any news on old courthouse, new courthouse?
Old courthouse, new courthouse. Last Friday, we had a little incident in here, and we're not really sure what happened, but the whole building filled up with sewer gas, and so department shut down. We had the AC gentleman in here, Brian in here. The courtroom was wet, pretty wet. So we are having to look into a few things there. So a few bills will be coming down for that. And we're not really sure exactly what happened.
And it went away?
Had a squirrel run down the vent.
It went away?
I think Brian said the air conditioning unit plugged up, so the water wasn't going down
Oh,
the
sure.
main drain. But the courtroom carpet got wet and, I don't know, yeah, the smell was really
Strong.
really strong throughout the entire building. So,
So this place is falling apart. I'm just kidding. I'm just
It's
kidding.
okay, we can move back to the old one.
So just wanted to update you guys on that.
Okay, any future business?
I have the sheriff's vehicle.
That's right.
And then you guys will continue on with the budget too.
Well, we haven't really determined whether we're gonna buy one or not, if they're requesting one.
Yep.
If they're
Just
one
look at
vehicle.
it.
How long does it take to get one now? How bad is it?
Months. I have no idea. Just what we hear.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, we need to know the mileage.
what the
on
mileage
existing
is on
vehicles,
the
and
other
we
one.
Need to set a policy on what, when do we replace them?
Yeah.
Because we were gonna move that money out of the general fund now and put it into a special fund, correct?
Auditor's fund.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that the filing cabinet in the back room? With the one key you have?
But yes, no, we'll put that into a different one.
That won't affect the levy, so you can just, the money can stay there and we won't have to.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
on the budget.
So, from last meeting to today's, I've moved over the requested amounts. I've changed the salaries to the 1.3 for just comparing purposes. So if you look at Schedule A, page 2, that is what last year's was and compared to this year's. So, just
So a $20,000 increase, is that it?
correct.
So where did the where did the decrease come from? Because of course the wages went up more than $20,000. Where did we see the decrease?
There is not a reserve in there. The reserve is gone.
Yeah. So we need to find approximately $100,000 of cuts in this budget in order to restore the reserve, which we count on for incidentals that we missed in the budget.
So explain to me the reserve. Explain how this works.
Okay, so so we put a reserve amount of money, and it started out as $300,000 for things that, because we were trying to tighten up on these budgets to the point that we knew we were going to miss some expenditures and there wouldn't be money for it, and things that couldn't be anticipated
Right.
that came up. So we put $200,000 into a reserve
Okay.
that the county commission could move to any one of these budgets upon request.
Oh, okay.
And you can find that on Schedule B, page 15A.
So
So there's a total. Okay, no.
So
if you-
up at the top, top left-hand corner,
Mhm.
right-hand corner, sorry.
What page am I on?
So up top right-hand corner is where you'll find the page numbers.
B15A.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So general fund is always in Bs, special revenue funds are Cs, and then the outside districts are Es.
Oh, I remember that. Okay, so B15A.
There is that reserve. Right now, we have 278,897.31 budgeted, and I do not have a amount in there for this year.
So if you go back, on the first page here where Samantha compared what we levied in 2021, which was $1,562,440, compared to what we're gonna levy this year, $1,083,304, which is a $20,000 increase. The increase is actually the $20,000 plus what the budgeted reserve was last year, which is how much?
278,897.31.
Right. So this budget this year is $298,000 more than was what was budgeted last year. So we need to, it's kind of like an Easter egg hunt. Somewhere within this budget, there's $298,000 more expenditures. We know where some of them are. I don't know what the salary increase was. Do you know the total salary increase, what dollar value that was?
No,
Okay.
I can get it for you.
Well, I mean, it's pretty close. What's the total salary? We don't know what the total salary is.
See, we have a salary thing in the back, but it's
Okay.
not taking into account different things, so I would have to go through.
Anyway, we've already agreed by statute or by, that the salaries are going, we up for 1%. Now we need to identify in each budget where the rest of that $298,000 increase was and decide whether or not that was a worthwhile expenditure. But you'll be able to see that as we go through your stuff. If you look, just look at B9, the auditors.
Gonna pick on me already, huh?
I'm not picking, I graded yours already.
Oh, good.
So, anyway, actual expenditures you see over on the left-hand side. All the way to the bottom is 76,614. And then go over to the very right-hand bottom corner, 78,613.63. Then if you just compare those two columns going back to the top, you'll see where the increase was. Yeah, and in this case, the increase was $100 more in dues, $50 less in office supplies, and $50, so it's $50.11 higher plus the salaries, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So each one will be that way. We'll be able to identify where the increases were.
So if you want to we'll just start from the very beginning. We'll start with the revenues on Schedule B, page 2. The way that we've done it in the past is for like the mobile homes, penalty and interest, state penalty and interest, things like that. We've always used the actuals for an estimate because we're not really sure, what those things. So then that's just kind of, it works and it's been a pretty good way of doing it. So that's where I come up with those numbers is from the actuals and then we roll them. State aid distribution, I do get those numbers. I'm pretty sure you guys got that email too from Linda Spahovic. about those estimated numbers from the state. So I do put those numbers in. And so then if you just keep on going,
So you use the 21 tax revenues for the 22 estimated revenues, right?
say that one more time.
You use the 21 general property taxes for the number for the 22 revenues, where the X's are, in order,
I didn't know, we don't put that number in, then that comes from this sheet.
right, but in order to arrive at this number, you had to put some number in here.
Mhm.
Well, it took it from somewhere, because adding these up does not equal 423,000. Adding 21 up does equal 411,000. So, in order to know the difference between these numbers, you had to use a estimated revenue from somewhere, and I think it takes the estimated 21 revenue forward to 22.
It's got to. Where's your Excel spreadsheet?
It's password protected, dang it.
With her life, it is.
Travis has my computer.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, that's,
Well, okay, so you're questioning the 423? What numbers are we using?
how it was arrived at, because
Well, if we add up 2 through 18, that
no. If you go to the next one, it's the next, because that's just for that line.
Yep.
So if you go to the next page, the B3, then you get the 804, 847, 97. That's all of your revenue. And then the 454, 550, 04, that's all of your revenue. So then
Less-
that's minus the taxes.
Minus the
Yeah,
taxes, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So that one on the bottom was just adding that one that one group of.
should... Great.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, it was just adding line 8 through 28.
Yep.
That changed, has that always been that way?
I think it's always, but I think it screws us up every year. I think we always think that bottom number is the total one. Because I can't do anything with it, John. It's password protected from me.
I can do something with it, it's gonna be hard to get a hold of.
Oh, total intergovernmental stuff. It kinda
I just should not speak on that.
Well,
There it is in the headings.
maybe one day,
That's gonna be
Samantha
smarter
will
than
turn
spreadsheet.
this computer on and it'll all be fixed.
What's that? Maybe I
Anything we need to fix, maybe one day I'll just turn it on.
I know the password, but it's there. But I'm not messing with stuff. I leave it alone. It's worked every year, so I'm not messing with it. You want a new name? You just cross it off and write a new name. Because I'm not.
I know, took a long time to. Okay, I'm good here.
So if you guys think that, maybe I'm estimating some revenues a little lower, a little higher, I can adjust those too.
Well, there was a reason for the estimates, all right? I mean, you based it all on the same rationale as last year.
Correct. The sheriff's one kind of, I think, might be a little lower. I just used what they estimated last year. But their actuals were 23,000 and now I'm estimated 5. So, and that's just because I rolled over what was budgeted last year. Like you guys had made a,
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
yeah. So I didn't know if you guys wanted maybe to, I don't know.
Well,
So last
didn't we always use the 20, like in this instance, wouldn't we use the 21 actual for
20
the estimated
20?
22? The 20 actual for the,
you want me to do that?
that's an easy way to do it, unless.
For the revenue, that's how I've done it for those other ones. I haven't usually done that for like.
Because we're
the
using revenue
department.
from over a year, well, but we're not to the end of the year of 2021 to be able to use.
No,
Total
but,
for-
so we just, on other budgets, on other departments, we use the last actual revenue or the last actual expenditure, either one, and use that because these are truly estimates.
Mhm.
And you have to use something that is reproducible every year.
Mhm.
And that is the way to do it, is to just go back to the last one you have. Not the last audited revenue.
Unless,
Yeah, whenever.
Don't confuse those.
That's a whole nother joke, that audited thing.
So that's, I think that's.
unless
the
a
way-
department thinks that they're gonna come in under, then we should use that under number.
Yeah.
So that we're like under budgeting revenue, over budgeting expenses, that way, but
Yeah, if they have an honest number that they feel, but otherwise use the 2021 if it's lower, or 2020. Does that make sense, John?
Yeah, it's
think
it's always.
it's a place
been-
to start.
Yeah, it always has to be.
because at the last meeting, you guys just said, take last year's of the sheriffs and roll it over until,
Yeah.
Amber's
Yeah.
able to give
Yeah.
us some stuff.
So
So
we-
that's what I did with the 5,000, but,
Okay.
we can wait for her, or I can move that 23 over. It's totally up to you.
I think we should increase it because I think it's a little way down, but
Mhm.
perhaps maybe.
Well, let's talk about that when we get to our budget.
Yeah.
Okay. And then those interest incomes and stuff like that, those are just miscellaneous stuff. We don't usually do anything. I have to put them in the budget so that our bottom number balances, but we don't usually do anything with that for the, the budgeting process. So that's why those are all zeros. The next one, Schedule B, page 4. This is just your kind of general fund at a glance, to see, kind of where things are increasing, decreasing, things like that, from each of the years. So that's kind of a nice page just to see the overall general fund.
And I have one quick question, Sam.
Yes, sir.
The page 3. What's Christmas extra?
So
What's
Christmas fund, that is it's a payroll deduction that the employees do, and it's just, the county's, it's just basically a savings account. It doesn't benefit anybody, it's just kind of taken out of the employee's paycheck, set aside until right before Thanksgiving, we pay it out, so that it's kind of, you can put it in your bank account too, but it's just kind of like that.
Okay.
It's
For-
then you get it right before Christmas.
People who don't trust themselves to save their Christmas fund.
Okay.
Well, basically, that's what it is.
It is, and they get a nice little surprise at the end. They're like,
Yeah.
surprise! I get rid of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did. I was like, no, it's just more money for me to manage. Manage your own funds.
That's what we did too.
But I mean, people obviously like to put their money away in their own little savings accounts.
Yeah.
So, it's nice.
Well, it removes the temptation of,
well, then I get this check, and then I'm like, oh, Black Friday shopping.
My husband doesn't know.
maybe you should get your check on April 15th or something.
Why?
Well, you could pay your taxes with it.
That's his, out of his, not mine. Just kidding. Huh. Okay, so B5, that's just expenses, more of the at a glance. And and then B6, that's kind of continuing on. So, we can get to departments now, if you'd like. Do you want to do department heads that are here? Do you want to just go page by page? How would you like to do it?
I have a quick question for you guys before we start. I just talked to Amber. Does Amber need to be here? No.
No.
Okay.
No, she's there.
Doesn't matter to me, I mean, if they're, no use making people sit here for any longer.
Yep.
You wanna go to their budgets and then we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
continue on? Okay, so we will go, we'll just keep going past mine too, cause I'm here with you. Do B10, the treasurer's budget.
There's no change except salaries, so.
A little bit of increase in supplies and materials. No, not from 21, no. Cool.
So if we're just good, then I don't need a motion or anything, until the very end. Then we'll do a motion, to approve the preliminary budget at that time, unless you guys would like a motion to approve the preliminary budget for each department.
Well, we should make some note of it, whether it's checklist or something.
Right, yep.
We could say preliminary, this is okay, so we don't have to revisit the whole thing again.
Yep.
And that could be in the form of it doesn't have to be a voted on motion, but someone can say it, you know. I think we should approve Connie's budget as put forward, nothing any more than that, and then put an okay on yours. If you agree, if we all agree,
Yeah, I didn't see.
and then we put that aside, it's done. And then we'll get down to a point where we'll have some that we'll have some contention on, and then we can talk about that when we settle all them. Then we can throw them all into one, into the okay pile and vote on it.
Okay.
Sounds
So
good.
this one's okay?
Yep.
And yeah,
Clear as
they'll
mud.
probably better out. You'd probably better out.
Is everybody okay with the treasurer's budget as it's presented?
Yep.
Thank you, Connie. Excellent.
Okay, next one is, the state's attorney with B11.
I don't think anything changed as far as material supplies and services. I think the final allowance was for 1.3% of the salary, so I think everything else was the same.
I still don't love the 1.3% salary.
Do you wanna talk about salaries
That's
up
my-
front or at the end?
We'll do it at the end.
And, okay,
But, yeah.
What's that?
salaries.
And I thought we were kind of okay, but we can discuss it again at the end if they want. See how we fan out.
Oh, I thought these are all reflective of the.
1.3.
1.3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
And then
said,
the-
you said just put that in there just to compare and
Oh.
then,
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Let's talk about it now.
I guess, I feel that's kind of low, my opinion.
Based on what?
Explain this to me, you had 5.0, that have been thrown on, what's the 5.0, what's that? Explain that to me again, how did you get that?
5.3 right now is the estimated cost of, social security cost of living
Okay.
increase for next year.
Okay. Where's 1.3 or 6 come from? Is that the
One-
social security only?
1.3.
It's COLA.
It's the
cost of
actual
living
numbers.
increase.
Actual number.
That's closed out last year, because the 5.0 isn't a final number yet, it's a rolling number that won't be determined until the end of 2021, yes.
And then we'll use that number.
Then we'll use that number, so if that number next year at this time, if maybe that closes out at 8%, and next year at this time, the cost of living increase is only 2%, we're still gonna have to use the 8%. The 8% increase is gonna come, it could be way above what the inflation rate is a year from now.
What has the
So, okay,
what has the
Go ahead,
average
Ken.
raises been in the
Yeah.
past?
They've been
The COLA,
COLA update.
COLA.
we've used that for,
so what you're saying is that number could go up
Oh, yes. Not for next year.
for next year, but not for this. Yeah, I mean, so the salary increase you're talking about right now is for 2021.
No,
Or
2022.
2022, I mean.
Right.
Okay, so we
So-
do 2022 salaries right now, you guys are talking about, but we use last year's cost of
use the
living increase.
2020 cost of living,
That closed
because
out.
that's the last
For-
hard number.
And that would be for 2022.
Right.
We'll use
So-
the
so that-
2021 number for it lags a year is how
Oh,
it
that's
works.
yours, okay.
Same as they do with social security, the veterans benefits, everything is figured on the COLA for the previous year end. And so if your social security benefits are gonna go up or going down, it's dependent on what the COLA ended up last year. We do the same thing here. The only thing we haven't done is there's no way to determine midstream where the COLA is gonna end up. Right now it's at 5%. There could be runaway inflation from here to the end of the year and it could end up at 12%. There could be a depression and it could end up at a positive number. We never have used a positive number. We've never taken away any wages.
It's so weird to use that number, 1.3%, because you know your cost of living expenses are way more than 1.3% every year.
And that's
I
kind
mean,
of what I was
you always figure a budget, you know, our expenses to live or to run a facility is going to be at average 3%, you know, kind of let's say. But your cost, you're only going to, your cost of living to live. It's just weird to say cost of living expenses go up 3% generally annually, but I'm only going to give you a 1.3% raise because things are going to go down. You know, life doesn't go down.
That is the cost. COLA is the cost of living increase.
From-
That is the government computed cost of living
From
increase.
2020.
No, 2021. It's used for 2021. So
Right.
let's just say right now, Steph, let's say right now that we used,
But that's like 400. How much is it a year for you of a raise? Is that $400 a year? $500 a year.
okay, so let's say that next year, just budget time, the cost of living increase is 10%.
But it hasn't been in the past. That's why I asked how many years back. What has the raises been? You know,
Whatever the COLA is.
Whatever the
Right.
is. The
So,
same,
but
the
has
same
it-
raise that everybody on Social Security, the same raise that everybody in
But why are we
benefits.
comparing to Social Security people?
We're comparing it to this is a nation that uses this. This is a cost of living increase. This is what all federal employees, everybody is based on the cost of living.
Do they have to?
Well, I don't know if they have to, but they sure, that's the standard.
I'm just asking, 'cause I'm like-
That's a national standard.
1.3% is like low. I mean, to me, it's just a low dollar amount for salary benefit, you know, salary increase.
But we're using a national standard. I mean, it's computed across, I don't know if it's right or not.
Right.
But every government, state, federal, and most local governments use that as a standard.
What has been the average increase the last 3 or 4 years? You have that, Sam? You follow what I'm saying?
Whatever the average.
I know, but I'm asking what the numbers are.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the economy's been at a standstill, so it's been in the 1% and 2%.
That's been okay.
Yeah. So
I think one year was 0.02.
Yeah.
Yep, 15, 0, 16, 0, 17.002, 18.003, 19, 1.58, 20 was 3, and 21 was 1.6.
And see, it could very well be 10 next year that we'll have to pay out because this year is going to be a huge inflation year. But the inflation rate in 2020 could be at 4. So it'll balance it out. It'll just going to be one year behind balancing it out.
The state doesn't always follow the inflation. If they've got a bad budget year, they
make cuts, yeah.
They just say sorry and we'll pick up your insurance.
Yeah, and we haven't put it in writing, but we've made commitments, at least I have, and everybody else, that we're gonna follow the COLA, even if it is a 10% increase, that we're not going to say that's too much. The same way that would never use a negative number. So,
But that's
And we haven't taken the increase in insurance and said, oh, you know,
yeah.
there's your raise.
Right, so there's been huge increases in the insurance side, and the county has covered those. So in essence, those are
their raises because if you include benefit,
What's that?
but that's kind of also considered part of their package. You know, taking out the benefit.
It's a dollar value. I mean, and that is also included as a cost of living. You know, when the government computes all these. None of them are, anyway, that seemed to be, rather than getting into a discussion on how do you determine what the raise should be.
It's not an arbitrary raise. If you go through this every year, well, how much should we give them? It's a known quantity that they're going to get, and it's fair from year to year because it's what actually occurred. rather than, oh, I think we should give them this much this year, and next year I feel tight, so maybe I won't give them so much. This year, now they get what the inflation factor was. It has that lag, which is kind of hard to swallow at times when it goes up, but when the
And
economy's
that's
flat.
the argument this year is
Yeah.
that it's not kind of following that 2, you know, it's huge. It's, you know, we're getting 1.3 and right now the estimate is 5.3. Like it's a huge chunk, and I'm not living in last year, I'm living in this year. So it's like, I have to live. I have to pay those bills. I have to buy my groceries. I have to pay my gas. And so that's where this gets hard, when we keep using the year before. And, you know, if it's kind of that gradual, you
But
know,
you could
it's,
use today's number, but it's not.
it's not a
It's a
final
floating-
number.
it's just a floating
yeah,
number.
it's not a hard number.
You're not going to get the full value of it. If you go in the mid-year, then next year you go in mid-year.
Yeah, I don't know what the mid-year is.
They don't finalize it until the end of the year. Anyway, that's, and you asked the question, why do we care about Social Security or the veterans, or because a lot of those people are paying taxes to pay these wages. It's pretty hard to explain to somebody that I'm going to take your money from you in order to give somebody a raise when the people who are taking the money from didn't get the same raise. They're on a different schedule than the money that's being used to give other people raises. That's why that is important. And we live in an aged community, and it affects that a lot of people are in that position. And a lot of people watch that COLA number because of that a lot closer than you and I and everybody else does. So I will agree it's not exactly the perfect solution, but I think overall it will encompass all the inflation that takes place. You just have to factor that over a 2-year period rather than a 1-year period.
It's a standard. It's a standard.
The only thing I think is, okay, so it's 5%, keeps on 5% inflation throughout the whole year. And there's still, I'm not talking about myself, the people that are just making $16 an hour or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How are they gonna compensate for that 5% increase? We can see it right now. Go to the store and buy meat or bread, or gas has kind of gone back down again.
Well, again,
That's what I worry.
over a 2-year period, it will, because there'll come a time when the rate that you're being compensated for is higher than the rate of inflation. So it's gonna take the extra year to go down. If inflation goes down, you'll still be compensated at a higher rate.
So do we go by the average of the year, or do we go by
The ending year, the
end number at the end of the year?
which is the average of the whole, which is the average of the whole year.
Of 2020.
Right, so it might be at 5% now, it might end up at 10%, or if all of a sudden inflation goes away, it might end up at 2% at the end of 2021. It's the average of the whole year.
But over the last time, like I can see now it's happening, we're just not even, we're barely even being maintaining, you know, overall, you know, the last 3 or 4 years, you know. When I'm looking at, you know, for those increases, you know, 0.8, point whatever, you know, doesn't, in my book at least, you know.
We'll quantify that. What we are taking into account inflation. That's the inflation number. It doesn't. That is a number.
I think we're just going back, you know, I think we're going backwards, I think.
Based on what? Show me something where it's going backwards. I can show you where it isn't. The COLA number. You show me the figures and where that's going backwards, or is that your opinion?
That's my opinion.
Very good.
That's why we use the COLA, because it is a solid number that has data behind it that we can trust.
Well, there was times where you did .003 or whatever it was. I don't see that on your.
Do you think for some employees that have the insurance out of pocket, you know, I don't know if do they put insurance costs in their COLAs? Like, what did insurance go up last year, Sam? Was it 20?
No, that was a few years ago. It's,
Okay.
it's set for 2 years. But I think that, I can't remember off the top of my head the 4 years ago when it went up. Cause this year it went up the 0.14.
Right. I think I know
Back.
that's just, you know, that's one concern that, you know, health insurance, and I think that's a problem that people have everywhere,
Yeah.
not just here. It's, it makes it difficult with the 1.3 to, I mean, this is probably the only year we're balanced out with the health insurance increase and the wage increase.
COLA last year is 1.3, or it showed at a 1.3. Okay, I make a motion that the raises be 1.3 for the 2022 budget year.
Mark's made a motion to set the wage increase at 1.3% following the 2020 COLA increase. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. We want to do this roll call. John?
Aye.
Scott?
No.
Mark?
Aye.
Stephanie?
No.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries.
Did we okay the state's attorney?
No, we didn't quite get that far.
Yeah, the state's attorney looks fine to me.
Brendan?
Okay.
Anybody have any concerns with the state's attorney's budget? We'll okay it.
Okay, so B12 is recorders.
Major problems there, Kelly reduced her wages.
That was because you guys have it separated out with the
Yeah.
clerk of court and recorder. You guys have the salary being the same, so then it's got more out of the clerk of court's budget because of the revenue in there.
Yep, the clerk of court revenue increased, so then she decreased the recorder.
So, excellent. And then the clerk of court revenue, we reimbursed on some of that, correct?
The clerk of court contract is in there. Yep.
Yep, so I mean, that's why it went up, because they did the evaluation, it takes more.
Yep, so they do a 2-year evaluation and our cases rose. So
Right.
then they increase it, they base it on the FTE numbers, or FTEs increase, so then they pay more.
So in other words, the decrease in the salary to the recorder is a benefit to Griggs County.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the only time more crime's a benefit, huh?
Crime based.
Yeah.
No.
No,
No, no one said that.
No, okay. It was implied.
Everything else stayed the same.
Yeah, no, excellent.
Good with that one?
Mhm.
Okay.
Everybody good with the recorder? We'll okay that one.
Okay, next one, tax director. Just kept it the same as,
Yeah, I don't think we need a wage salary increase, being we didn't have a tax director.
so you want me to take that down? Because the way that you guys had it is, it was 1/3 of mine.
Yeah,
So then that would have been that.
well, we'll take it down, and that means you're a little bit more important than
Woohoo!
2/3.
I like it. 2, 6, 4, 7.
It doesn't matter, it's a
Keep
base,
one.
we just set the baseline at it.
Okay. Good with that one?
Everybody good with the tax director?
Okay.
Okay it.
Oh, sorry, we were supposed to go to the different people that are here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that was my fault. Let's go to B17, and that's the IT.
So the hard line for county shop for the internet?
Yeah, if we raise the courthouse, we lose connectivity to the county shop. That's on copper connection. So this is the price to hook up a fiber optic lease from MLGC.
Of course it is.
He can't use a iPad or?
Not to connect into he wouldn't have as much access for that, I guess. This is a state operated network. When you're on just a hotspot, you don't get full connectivity back into the courthouse. It would probably work for most stuff I would do, but I guess the phone system wouldn't be able to run over that. Printers, he wouldn't have network access to the printers, systems like that, I guess. But
Moving 2021 stuff. Fiber optics and MLGC and, yeah.
The lease is, would be $32.50 a year for that line?
yeah, that's what I was quoted a few years back. I don't know if that's changed at all. It's basically what they call dark fiber, so it's not connected to the internet with them. They just give us 2 endpoints and we connect into our switches then. That way we meet federal, or not federal, but state requirements for internet access. We can't hook up internet to this building unless it's from the state of North Dakota. Actually, it's against the law. The other options we could do, we do have the old fiber optic cable that we installed, or that's owned by that's over to the old social service building. That's about halfway there. We could trench in. Your difference is that you'll pay everything up front, but you won't have that recurring. I think we'd actually, if there's a break or anything like that, have to pay for it. Another option is wireless, private wireless link. City of Cooperstown has okayed us to use their tower since we're operating their e-dispatcher here out of the courthouse as a secondary backup site. So same thing, you'd have upfront cost for that, I guess, to manage and install it. Since it's a water tower, you're going to be having higher the rate to have a technician climb up the tower and install it. But
What do you use when you're at the shop? What do you use the internet for?
Internet?
Yeah,
I get a lot of emails, of course,
right.
and then I get updates from my mapping system. And I've tried it for the 911.
Right.
I tried to do that up there, and the computer sits for 3 to 4 hours, and it doesn't get it completed, so I come up here and
You
go
do it
on,
here.
But if you get a long data or from state or something with the number of pages, it takes a while to download it, but.
So
Would that, only for COVID, would that be available to?
I don't know if it would qualify for
I was
that.
talking about internet and water and sewer and.
Yeah, because the current connection is a point-to-point DSL system. I think it operates at 0.7 megs up and down, so considerably slower. I know the 911 database stuff, last I was working with Wayne, we're having some troubles trying to get that to download so he can update his system to work on that. Just slow connection. And then once the building here, the courthouse is raised, we won't have connectivity anymore. So we're using the copper from MLGC, which they're not going to maintain any longer. They said it's just, if it works, it works. Once it quits working,
Once in a while, it doesn't work.
yeah, they're not gonna fix it.
Between
So.
here and there too.
Mm-hmm. So right now, right now it's not needed as long as the old courthouse is there.
Well, for budgeting, I'm not sure when you guys are raising this.
Well, there's no budget,
And then we don't know
there's
when.
no money in the budget to raise it, so
Yeah, and then-
until that happens, it doesn't matter.
So that's something you don't put on the budget, that you just let set aside, and that 100,000 that you put in that little kitty aside is for something like that, where you gotta change it?
Well, if it is dependent on the courthouse being removed, we know the courthouse isn't gonna be removed this year, so this wouldn't be a budget item for this year.
Okay.
Or
Well,
next
it's
year,
the,
or that
whether
year.
the connection goes down or, you know, the fact that it's not beneficial for Wayne to do his work. If something that should take 2 minutes is taking him 4 hours, you guys are paying him for sitting there for 4 hours.
Maybe it's,
waiting on
maybe
stuff.
it's easier to give Wayne an office up here,
I mean, that's up to you guys to discuss and
you know, for things, because don't you have a secretary that works up here anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's why I come in and I plug into their,
yeah.
down in there.
Yeah, when you need to,
Pardon?
when you need to.
Yeah.
State IT costs have doubled since 2020. The WAN,
Should have. Everything else should have stayed the same, I believe.
2020, the actual is 6,200 and estimated is 12. So that's pretty close to doubling.
It's always been 12, because that includes like the WAN connection here, and that's a fixed rate.
I think that was the one that we had to back pay this year for that one because it was going to the wrong, to my spam or something, or it was getting into junk mail or something. So we weren't getting the bills, and then they weren't contacting me until we were like months behind. So we just got caught up.
So it's going to be about 12,000 every year then?
I think so.
Okay. So your current's missing a few months.
Yeah. The actual, yeah.
Okay.
And then for next year's budget, we'll have to do something with Office, Microsoft Office. Our current license will expire on, I think, the 9th of January 2023. So at that time next year, we'll recommend going to Office online from the state. So that's about $1,400 to $1,500 a year for our license, but that's more just information for next year.
But I think as long as, I get getting back to the shop internet and fiber lease, of what you're telling us is that as long as the old building's here,
It's kind of working.
everything's
It's-
working
Well, it's not,
to the best of what it is.
yeah. I wouldn't be able to, it would be very frustrating for me to do work there. I wouldn't recommend it on anybody, but it is connected and operational, but whether it's,
You know, check my emails and they're there.
Sure.
Okay.
If you're gonna do something, you're communicating with somebody else or sending stuff back.
So can we remove that 6,000 and the 3,250?
I think so.
Okay.
What do you guys wanna do
Well, if he's not thinking that he needs to do it
this
This
next
year.
year? I mean,
this next year, then take it off. But
Yeah, let's wait till
I
it
think it's
actually
something we're gonna
happens.
have to keep
Yeah.
an eye on.
Be,
but-
Yeah, I wanna
be
make sure
good.
that-
Thank you for the forewarning. You know
Yeah.
that
I think we've been
And I think-
forewarned for quite a while.
Yeah.
this could happen. You might want to throw it in there. Well,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure what the policy would be if we did have a break, you know, how do we just not have internet then for Wayne? Or, you know, what you guys wanna do? I guess, do we just bring that up at the meeting?
Yeah.
So,
bring it up at that time, I guess.
Don't you have a repeater in that, you put a repeater in there, right, inside?
We have a
Verizon?
Wi-Fi for Verizon.
Verizon's in there.
They, all the 34.
yeah, we should sell repeater.
That doesn't work.
And other than them two, it looks okay?
Fine with me.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right.
everybody okay with that one?
Yep.
Very good.
B21 is DES.
How did I get my things out of
Jamie, no changes there the way it looks, huh?
No, one thing is that it looks like we're gonna be eligible for the EMPG grant, the grant from the Fed to reimburse some salary.
I think I put that into the estimate. It's 50% of it, isn't it, or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, we might be spending some money to get that money, but I think we should get more than what we're gonna spend. But we're gonna have to spend some money for, putting on training, which we should be doing anyway. So I'm not exactly sure how much they cover, that grant covers of it, but there probably will be some unbudgeted expenses, but we will come to you guys prior to that.
Okay,
But the grant, yeah, but.
I think the grant will cover, I think the grant money covers us.
This isn't gonna be, the grant money's coming and then it was ever applied for. is it?
No. Actually, the application is due tomorrow and Jennifer is working on it right now and I have some stuff I have to work on for the morning. So no, it's not one of those situations. Oh, you guys know. it's
Well, I
not
call the
coming.
state and inquire about it, and they say, what grant?
We are working with
Not
them.
you, sorry.
And Jolie's has been working with us pretty closely and kind of on her butt to get it done. So we're working on it and I will let you know if we don't complete it.
Okay. I think the DES is fine. That's a considerable savings over what we were gonna have to pay farming.
Yes.
Thank you, Jamie. That was excellent.
Yeah, one thing, Jamie, I got an email from DES saying that the 2011
Mhm.
disaster
Yeah,
was
B23 's
completed,
program grant,
finalized
please.
now. So we still have to keep records for 3 years. Can't see a sense because they come auditors.
Okay. I hope they don't because I don't know where those records are. We didn't receive much.
B23's courtroom grant, that one is Kelly's.
That's a third of the grant, is that right? It is,
Yeah, there was just a couple things that, one is a broken chair and one is, I can't remember what the other thing is, but
That's what we would spend out
yeah,
and then,
$1,000 was the total.
and then we had
Griggs
the,
County would be, 25%.
okay,
I'm good.
Yeah,
good there.
everybody good with that one?
Okay, and then I think there was now we're into the
Special
C's.
fund. Kirkwood Court. C11.
Do you wanna do the road or do you wanna do C11
whichever.
first?
Well, C11.
C11 first? Okay.
C11?
C11 is clerk of court. So what I do with that one is I take the revenue of what she gives me and I have a little spreadsheet that I trial and error until I get to the 100%. So we're not levying for it. And then all the expenses come out.
Well, you couldn't live on it, but there was a savings.
Huh?
You couldn't live on it, but there was a savings.
There was. I couldn't get it to come out to the T, but we got real close.
Yeah, real close, that's right. Yeah.
So we're good with that one?
I am.
Clerk of court looks okay.
Okay. And then I think the only other one would be Jamie's, and that is that, it's that county victim advocate one. Or document preservation, that's C21, that's Kelly's too.
That's for the records getting transferred.
Yes,
Yeah,
yep,
okay.
by Century Code, we take,
Yeah.
recorder file documents, $3 from that,
Yeah.
and that goes into that fund, so I use that, I can use that for everything, printers, computers,
Yeah.
scanners. I did, the revenue, I did put the revenue up a little bit this year,
See that.
yep, because we're doing some back indexing.
Okay.
And we are taking some of the funds for those documents and
And
putting
it
it
looks
there,
like
so.
you reduced the software costs some.
Yeah, I mean, that is one great thing about this fund is when it comes to anything with computers, you know, so all that software, all that, anything that we use to preserve our documents that come in, I can take it from this fund, so.
Excellent, excellent. Yep, I'm good.
Everybody good with that
I
one?
think so.
Okay.
C23 is county victim advocate.
Tell me where the revenue for that one comes from again.
That's,
That comes from
It's from the
There you
victim
go.
witness fund. It's a $25 fee that is assessed during,
So every criminal case has statutory mandatory fees.
Yeah.
For instance, a B misdemeanor is a $125 administrative fee, $100 court facility fee. That's where the courtroom grant comes from, is $100. And then a $25 victim witness fee. That goes on the account. That account, that's the account that is supposed to be paid for, like our Vine and Sabin membership. And I think we'll be getting one more. Invoice on that this year.
Okay.
And I think that was a couple $100. The rest of it should be paid out to our victim advocacy groups, like the Abused Persons Outreach Center. That's a statutory. Those funds are statutory guided as far as where we can spend them. We can spend them to like where I actually have to do some research. There's been ideas tossed around of a personal defense person coming and teaching at the schools, or the victim advocacy or the domestic abuse shelter down in Valley City. There's a specific statutory provisions that limit when those funds can be spent, and it has to be something to that effect for victims' rights or crime prevention, that sort of thing.
Is everybody okay with that one?
Yeah,
I am.
yeah,
Yeah.
looks fine. I don't see anything.
You said we're good with that one, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so then I think we are ready to go back to Wayne's.
What page is he on again?
Motion to take a 5-minute break.
What page is Wayne
Motion
on?
by John to recess for 5 minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mark. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Order.
Pen go. C7 is County Road and Bridge. With this one, this is Wayne, his levy limitations able to get up to 10, or no,
30.
20, and then by vote of the people, we do 5, and then another 5, so he's up to 30 mils. So with this one, me and Wayne went through, and what I did is your guys's aren't highlighted. Shoot. So on the estimated expenditures, there's that 924,981.75 of a transfer out. That is to make that bottom line 0, so that we're going to end the year at 0. That money gets transferred in to C8, and it's called Road Special Project. Then that is making it so that Wayne is starting out with 0 for a carryover in his budget, and so then we're not having to. In the past, we've done a huge reserve. This time we don't have that because those funds are still for the road department, but it's in a different fund, so then it's not causing issues with like the levy and stuff.
Okay.
So I did that for you, but you guys need to tell me to do it, basically. And then on the C7A, that state highway distribution fund, I get that number from that same email from Linda, so I put that number in as well.
So. With the revenue, and then maybe you probably did the math, subtract the revenue from the final appropriation, Does that equal the mill levy?
I tried to work it up, but that's that
What are you using for a mill levy?
that's that big thing. I am using what a mill is worth in here is okay. I'm estimating a mill, the taxable value to be 23 million. I don't know what it's going to be. That's
So in
the
order to
problem.
cover this, we need to have a mill worth $25,000. It's not gonna be worth that.
Mhm.
It is?
No.
Right.
His evaluation is 23 million, your mill is gonna be worth 23,000.
Yep. Yep.
Right. But what I did was I took the final appropriation of 1,176,000 and I subtracted the revenue from it.
Mhm.
And then I divided by 30 mills. A mill would have to be worth $25,000.
Yeah.
And that was
So doing it that way would have to reduce Wayne's budget by $60,000. Correct?
Yeah.
To balance it. So the top line, right, there's no changes, 1 through 8, there's nothing to do there. We can't really take anything.
On what page are you on, John?
I'm on CB8.
Seven B.
Yeah, 7, oh, excuse me.
7B.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like you already reduced the reserve by quite a bit. So what was the mill, you think, 23,000?
that's what I'm estimating.
Even?
And yeah, because I didn't know.
What were we at last year?
Total. 22. Do you have a budget at all? John, do you have the budget for this year?
Yeah, and in that blue. Yeah. So using that number, the monies available will be $1,115,379.
This blue one? 22. There it is.
I don't know. My accounting system isn't very good.
Found it.
I don't understand about that reserve deal and where we had a whole bunch of money and take it down to zero and now I gotta cut the budget by 60,000.
That money goes into, that money is for the,
Building fund,
huh?
for the building
No, not for the building.
fund.
Huh? It's
For
for the
project fund,
project fund, right, yep,
building
yep,
project.
right.
So that's where we take that money out. The 225,000 is gonna be the matching for projects next year.
No, the matching for the project is in this other fund that now has $924,000 in it.
Yeah,
That's where all the matching funds go. But it left in the road budget needs to be covered then by the revenues and by the mill levy.
Right.
Right, and so the revenues and the mill levy, the total of that equals $1,115,379. And you have budgeted $1,176,000, so it's $61,000 short.
Well, we can take $61,000 out of the gravel fund.
Right, I mean, yeah, it's as simple as that, it's just somewhere in there, we need to adjust it, because we know we never use the whole budget anyway.
Yeah, we're not gonna use 107,000, there's probably gonna be 100,000 left.
Right, so somewhere in your numbers, just make us balance out, get the number down to 115 and it's fine. Because we all know that we never spend the budget down to zero. Right. So all it'll take is we'll just have to adjust some numbers within the budget as we go along at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sound reasonable?
So I would say just take it out of the gravel, because I did increase it. It doesn't look like we're gonna get much gravel put up this year.
Well, no, this isn't for, oh, you mean so we'll carry over
We're
gravel?
gonna carry over.
I
gravel,
got you.
you know.
So,
Other thing in the old days, which is probably wasn't correct, if I had money left over in the gravel the previous year, that went into the next year. So then I could spend it.
and really this will kind of do that.
Yeah.
But now we kind of solved that whole problem of trying to adjust expenses way up so that we could
Yeah.
levy the full amount.
Right.
Now we just need to balance it out. And there's nothing that says that in an emergency, some of that money can't be diverted back out of that road and bridge special fund. You wouldn't want to do it for operations, but if there's something else, there's.
It's kind of like a depreciation
That's
account,
what I
or
reckon.
capitalizing account, so when something big happens, you have set aside.
Right. We're trying to deal with this silly method of
So is
budgeting
that,
that the state mandates on us.
Right.
And
if by reducing that, is that gonna affect the ability to levy the 30 mils?
no, no.
This
Right
will-
now, we would have to
That'll
levy,
meet you.
right now, we would have to levy 32 mills to cover your budget. So we're gonna levy the full mills now.
Mhm.
So if.
Well, but
Depends
that's,
upon the value, of course.
yeah, see,
Yeah.
that's where that value makes me iffy, because, like, this year, a mill was worth $22,170. So I did increase it, quite a bit.
Mhm.
I want to increase it more than what we think it's going to be. Like I said, it's going to cut me off at that 30 mil. So if we, budget a little bit higher,
Okay, so
my
it's-
software is going to cut me off at that 30 mils, and I can't go any higher.
Okay, so you just
But if I come
wanna
in-
leave this intact for now?
Well, we can decrease it if you guys think it's, way too high or whatever, but I can't if it comes
No,
in
I know,
under,
I know.
I'm under. If it comes over, it's going to just cut me off at that
And the-
30.
And we lowered the valuations on commercial and stuff, so the mill's gonna be a little,
We lowered the valuations in commercial, but it's gonna get raised on residential,
Residential,
which is
yeah.
which is a larger category.
yeah, a larger piece of the pie, right?
But nothing's gonna happen nothing is gonna happen on the agricultural side of it.
No.
It's, so.
It probably
Um,
doesn't move the needle very
So
much.
let's
So
just,
I
let's
don't
just
know.
leave it right, and we won't know that till October, right?
That's the crappy
Yeah.
thing is it's, if we're way too high, I mean, that's skewing that
Well, it'll
whole
only
comparison
let you
page.
budget 30.
Huh?
It'll only let you budget 30.
Correct. My
Yeah.
software, that'll kick me off at 30, but that's skewing the whole comparison page.
By $60,000 right now,
Yeah.
I'm keeping track.
Yeah, but yeah, that whole front page is, if we're estimating high,
'Cause we don't,
that front page is estimating high too.
I don't wanna cut 60,000 off his budget and then the 30 mills comes in and says, no, we only need to cut 55.
Right. So I do want a
Don't
little.
send the recording of this meeting to the state.
Yeah.
That camera did move again.
It was on you, wasn't it?
It did move again, look at it, it was right, pointed at me before. Now it's on
It
way up.
is.
Well, maybe they're looking at this.
Does that sound all right, Wayne?
Yes, it did move.
I know.
We're just gonna leave it and then let the software sort out the value of the mill at the,
We can fix it in, if I remember right, we can lower budgets, but we can't increase.
Yeah, but I mean, either way you do it, we're still going to rate it, we're still taking more money from the citizens.
I understand that.
And so,
So, but if we have, you know, if we have this budget too high,
Higher than the mills that we receive.
because then that's in the comparison page, you know what I mean? And we always want that bottom line to be the same as last year. So if it comes in where we are high on this one, we can then lower this one
Yes.
and just because we're not increasing the overall budget, but we would. Do you know what I mean?
well,
Am I?
but see, we're getting a little confused here now. We're trying not to raise the mills, but if the value of a mill goes up, we're still raising taxes.
Right.
Yes.
So we gotta, it's, if your goal is to take the dollar value and keep it the same, you have to disregard the number of mills.
Right.
And you have to budget in a dollar, for a dollar value,
And
and let
that's
the
what
mills fall where they may.
And that's where that comparison page is. And so then if we are estimating high on this one, by the end of, if we continue the way that we have in the past, that bottom line would be zero, you know, for the, compared to last year to this year, that bottom line's gonna be zero. But if this comes out to be 60,000 more than what we can, then we can move that 60,000 and increase the reserve in the general fund by that 60,000, so that Wayne still gets his 30 mils, but then that bottom line is still zero by increasing the general fund.
No, if the mills don't go up, Wayne's number, he's gonna be farther over.
Correct, and then
And we can adjust from there.
but then we can adjust his down, general fund up, so that then that bottom figure is still zero.
But it isn't zero now.
I know, but like by the end of it, like,
It's $298,000 too high with parentheses around it.
yeah, but at you know, the very end that we get there, whatever, and then that gets to be zero.
Okay.
Wayne's is, you know, his is
So
60.
you're saying leave it for now and let's keep, and
Let's see where we go, and
Okay.
then get that bottom number. Then, you know, Wayne would get his 30 mils. Then that 60,000, or if it's 15,000 or whatever, too much, we can then increase the general fund's reserve.
Yeah, but we already know we're not getting there. We've got $300,000 to make up somewhere. So
Yeah.
we're not getting, that's a moot point. We're not getting there. We don't know where that came from yet. I wish somebody would tell me where the $300,000 increase came from.
well, there's 60 here.
Yeah, I know. I hate this little searching, but I guess I will.
Oh, I don't know.
Somebody knows. Collectively.
I don't know. Look at
I
me.
don't know.
Oh, I haven't. That's the first time I've read this thing.
We haven't seen a lot of it yet. So.
No. But I mean, what you said can work in reverse too.
We could decrease the general fund and
Right,
increase
so I mean,
Wayne's.
so
Yes.
if Wayne's fine with decreasing that gravel fund to make it balance with what we think the mill is worth now, 23,000. We might be too high on that.
no.
Do what you do as long as I got money in what I needed.
No, I mean, if he's fine with covering that, and I think we are, right? I don't think that's a problem.
And we're supposed to budget in dollars, not mills anyway. And
Yeah.
if we were doing that, we wouldn't be
We
having
wouldn't
this
be having this
conversation.
So let's theoretically put that number at $1,115,379 and then make it fit.
1,159,000.
You want that bottom number to be that number.
Well, I mean, let's start here and then say the same thing. We'll keep it in mind.
It's 30
Oh.
times
So I
23,000.
want this to be
Oh.
1,115,379.
This is 30 mills, and if the mill's gonna be worth 23,000.
And then we'll start from there. We'll start from there.
Yeah, slice the 61,000 out of the gravel and then,
Yeah. And then go from there and see where things lie.
yeah.
And now that'll adjust that.
Okay. So me and Wayne will work between that. Okay. And then,
Or do you wanna take a reading out of the college?
Us.
Gravel? Yeah.
and then C12 is Wayne's as well, that's 911. And
Where's Wayne at?
C12.
Yeah.
Probably.
So in 2022, we'll have a full year of $1.39 per line charge that we pay to state radio.
Mhm.
This year it was 6 months. They were at 84 cents a line. They went up to $1.39. July. So that increased it 36,848 to 44,185. Sirens, yeah, well, who knows, about the same. It's 50 cents a phone line. Association of the Counties, we're doing the cell phones
Mhm.
connections. Telephone companies to pay MLGC and intercommunity. Contracted data, that's Code Red and mapping system. Everything else is pretty much the same. I didn't change on I don't have a change in the salary increase. So when we're collecting $1.39 or $1.50 and we're paying $1.39,
Making 11 cents.
we have to take out of the reserve that,
I know. So we reduce the reserve by $20,000.
yeah. See, a lot of counties, they pay for it out of general fund. There's some that have been trying year after year, trying to get this increase to $1.50, and they're still at like $1 a line, and they're getting charged $1.39.
Can we opt out of any of that?
There's nowhere to opt out onto. Most all of these are all joining up now. They're all gonna be connected, all the PSAPs. Because of the new radio system and the new siren.
Whose budget is the new radio system coming out of? Is that coming down the pike in this budget year?
Coming down the pike, I don't know how we're gonna do that, but some of the, the local entities, like the hospital, the ambulance, I think they've got a fund that they're building up to purchase radios. 2023, I think, is when change is probably gonna be coming.
Because I think there was
There
some
is
talk about,
some money available, like a matching deal.
there was some talk, he thought the legislature was gonna pony up this session. Did they forget to?
I think they did.
Well,
Gave it to the
nothing
townships.
nothing we can do with the court. I'm good with that too.
Everybody good with the 911 budget?
Mhm.
And then
chemical or
Weed. Weed?
feed?
Yeah.
What, I just got on chemical.
C29. The road department does the weed spraying for the county. And so I asked him what he thinks we're gonna need for chemical.
Mine shows on page 27.
Huh?
Page 27.
I have 29A.
Oh, that's chemical, hazard chemicals.
Oh, chemical hazard?
What page?
Oh,
29,
you're on
Schedule
27,
C.
sorry.
Way back there.
Sorry, C27, chem hazard. I didn't have anything for that, did you? Did you request
Well,
something
I've
for
just
that?
requested 25,000 for the chemical, but I don't know if that's in weed or if it's in.
Oh, that's in
It's
the
in
weed,
weed.
yep, that's weed, yep.
I don't have that.
Yeah, Chem Hazard's, Chem Hazard's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's got a it has a balance.
Okay.
So then C29A,
So what are you using, what chemical are you using?
Using Tordon, and then we have some chemical for cattails
Yeah,
in trees. This year we haven't, we bought that stock of chemical out of South Dakota. And, we've been using that for the last 3 years, I think, 2 years.
And it's gone?
Not quite gone, but it's down there, yeah. We've gone down to the elevator and bought some chemical off and on. When I cut that back and do so much a year, that's fine.
was this gonna be for 1 year, or this, you certainly don't use 25,000?
We don't use it in 1 year, but we'd have it on hand, on stock. But
Oh, it's not a really good idea to keep that stuff.
Yeah.
It should, it
Get
does
a
have
leaky
a,
jug and then you really got a mess.
well, it does have a shelf life too.
Yeah.
It settles, any of those salts settle to the bottom.
Gets
of the
kind of
tank.
crystallized.
Yeah.
We should just have in what we should hopefully use up everything we have each year.
Then you get new stock and you don't have
yeah.
to stuff in the bottom, shaking the jug and
Yeah.
making sure you get it all out.
And then besides that, we're not licensed to store that stuff in inventory.
Yeah,
So, can we adjust that down to whatever you think you're gonna use for inventory?
year.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, I guess I haven't calculated that.
I mean, you certainly know how many tanks you sprayed out last year, and then you can divide it out, figure how much it costs per tank, and come to a dollar figure.
I suppose we sprayed out about 30 tanks last year, about 250 gallons.
Mm-hmm. And how many dollars was the chemical in each tank?
Cause I think here you got actual expenditures for 2020.
$4,700.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that was no chemical in that.
Yes, yes.
I thought that was Samantha's budget. We'd,
No, that's actual usage of 4,700. And that doesn't include what you had already
On
stored
hand.
on hand.
Why don't you try to figure out what your actual chemical cost was, and then we'll plug that into it.
okay.
And then
Cause that's a perfect world, if we could be done at the end of the
Yeah,
year
perfect
and
world.
be empty.
Oh, and buy
And not have
gotta
any.
buy a little bit extra to finish out, that's
Yeah.
fine. But if we're just using 2,4-D, that cost can't be more than $5,000 a year for 30.
Yeah.
and if you got extra, these dealers all take it back.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Okay.
So we need to fix chemical. Okay.
Okay, so now I think you're good. So now that you guys have gone through department heads that work here, I don't know how far you guys want to get today. If we can kind of go through the general fund.
Yeah. that's fine.
It goes pretty fast if we kind of
Yep.
go through.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.
So we did the revenues, and so we're just gonna go one by one. So B7, county commissioners, that's you guys.
B7.
Page 4?
B7.
B7.
Oh, that one.
That one looks all right to me.
I'm fine.
I'd like a salary.
It's fine that I don't get anything, but if you two wish to get paid, I'm fine with you getting paid also. But I don't think you should make it mandatory that we all get whatever. If you wanna do a stipend, I don't think I can justify myself getting one, so.
No, on principle I can't, but somebody has to do these jobs, and when we get sick of doing jobs at no money, I think then that's when we should step away, but that's my opinion. I think I owe Griggs County, the citizens of Griggs County something back. Griggs County's been good to me. It's been good to all of us, and so that's my view on it, and I'm kind of a traditionalist, and traditionally, public servant wasn't, that was an actual phrase, public servant, because they served as a servant of the public, and I'm fine with that, but I understand otherwise also, but I'm not in favor of myself drawing a wage.
I already know how they figure wages, other counties.
I think what they've done is like it's per meeting that you are at, that you get like a set, I think is what other counties have done.
Yeah, I think the city they get $100 a month.
Is it? And then I think it's if you go to, you know, the other board meetings that you're a part of, then you get a
Yeah, but those entities
pay.
will work that out.
Yeah.
I don't think you should get paid extra for going to other meetings.
Right.
I'm not sure how the other county, as far as I know, that's what they've done, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I don't think there is an either or option. I think it's, when we did it before, I think it's everybody or nobody.
But I think you can, if I will pay you, but you can then turn around and give that back.
No,
No?
no, because once you pay me, I can't opt out of the retirement, and.
I don't think you would
and-
get the retirement because you're not,
Well, the rest of the county commissioners in the past have always gotten retirement.
really, cause
That's true, yeah, and so, and then you can't, the other thing, you can't opt out of then all the FICA taxes and all the rest of that, because it's given as
That's right.
compensation, so it's gonna cost the county 50% of whatever the salary that I would take, even if I gave it back. Again, I just think for one day every 2 weeks, I'm fine. But I know we looked into that before, and there was no way to either or it.
okay.
Yeah, I
It's
think
never
we
been an issue.
we did that from the start.
Right, yeah, we did right from the start.
Okay.
Because a lot of other counties spend a significant,
When we took over, the budget for the county commissioners was at $75,000 a year.
Yeah.
And it's been 9 years now, look at the savings, and that has went directly into the pockets of the citizens. It was at 75,000 at a $1,300 mill levy. So if it would've went forward like it has, it would've been a $140,000 budget. So by us giving a little bit, we've saved the citizens of Griggs County well over $1 million.
Some counties even give health insurance.
Nelson County.
Steele
Yeah.
County.
You know, it's pretty hard for us to sit here and say, no, we're only gonna get a 1.3% raise. But I should get paid a lot for what I've done. And I would rather that we give it to the employees than
Or back
myself.
to the citizens as a whole.
Back to the citizens or whatever.
You know, I've said it over and over again, but it really bothers me, this whole process of budgeting, because of what we're actually doing.
Sure.
We're forcibly taking money out of people's pockets at gunpoint. And I got challenged in that here the other day. Well, not at gunpoint. I said, oh, really? Don't pay your taxes, and
Find
we
out
will
what
send
happens.
armed men to throw you off your property, evict you, and take it from you and sell it at whatever the market will bear.
Yeah.
And if that isn't the definition of gunpoint, I don't know what is.
Okay.
So, this is a serious deal. I understand that you guys have different opinion, and I'm fine with that, but it has to be all of us or none of us.
That's fine.
And if you wanna vote on it, if you
No,
wanna
that's
voice
fine.
your opinion on it, I'm good with that too, I mean.
I guess my thoughts was on it, you know, on the various other boards, you know.
Yeah.
Usually it's just a nominal fee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
I got it.
You know, $25-30 or something like
Yep.
that. That's kind of
Yep.
like, I've been on other boards, you know, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And that-
Yep.
it's more of a-
No, I know.
Well, and the other side of it is, I tell people, I'm sorry to say, but you get what you pay for.
Well, I've heard that too. It wasn't put complimentary.
Well, but you put it the other way, and you put the wage too high, and then you
Yes.
pay for it too.
I don't think that $75,000 number was ever really publicized a lot.
No.
Well, no one really pays any attention
Sure.
to what goes on in here, so.
Sure. They count on us.
And that was fine, I mean, that was their decision, that was fine.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with that was their decision. No.
But boy,
It gets to be a big number when you look at what other counties have done.
yeah.
Like I said, just us leaving that number where it was, it's, you know, just for inflation, it's $1 million since
Yeah.
that took place, it's savings,
Almost.
and that's a little bit of money.
When I was on the township board, I always compared everything I did to a load of gravel.
Yeah,
So if I take money, that takes a load of gravel away from a road that benefits everybody.
Yep. So if you wanna leave that for, I'm fine, if you wanna talk about that later, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine with this, yeah.
Okay.
Fine, Jim.
Good?
Yep.
We'll go on.
Base share stuff can go anywhere, so no sense on doing anything, so.
B6, that's the clerk record that's been taken out of the general fund. B9, that is mine. As far as the dues, the actual expenditures were at $100, and that is because we've had so many sponsors with the association or with the Auditors Association that we had such a huge carryover. So us auditors at the convention voted for 2 years to half our dues for all the counties. So it's always been 200, but those few years we've only paid half, and then the other the sponsors have sponsored the other half. So that's why it's 200. It's never changed. It's just I don't know if we're gonna get that discount again. So
Okay, I'm fine, you did good, Sam.
thank you.
No hidden costs or anything?
No.
I'm not finding that 200 grand any place here. Okay, everybody all right with the auditor?
Yep.
B10 is the treasurer's, you did that one. B11 is state's attorney. B12, tax director, we can keep going. B14, custodian.
That's it. There you go. I got it. Yep. Who's custodian?
Brian and
Brian.
Deb, and then when Brian and Deb go on vacation, me and Adam fill in for them.
Okay.
So,
That one just looks like it's a general, yep, I'm good with that.
okay.
Okay, everybody okay with
Everything's the same. Pretty close.
custodian?
Keep going.
Okay.
Okay, and general expenses. These are the ones, that are just those generals, and these are the ones that I've, estimated myself. So it's kind of up to you guys of if I estimated high, low. You guys can kind of. It is an election year, so we do have that 25,000 in there that we don't have this year. So there's a little bit.
Who sets the hours of when the polls are open to get off on them?
I think it has to be 9, and it can be no earlier, no later than 9, and no
More than 7?
earlier than 7.
Okay.
That's what's set by century code.
Yeah.
So we just gotta wait with this general expense, unless there's something that we don't like in there, because this is where the reserve is gonna get added back into.
Correct.
If you notice, the 2021 actual expenditures are 385,000, and we're at 135,000. The difference there is, excuse me, the difference there is the reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the next page is where the sheriff's vehicle's at.
The next page is where the sheriff's vehicle is at, and that is where all of the social services
Mm-hmm.
stuff gets taken out of too. Those are your indirect cost. She's requesting a $500,000 or a quarter of. $250,000.
No, it's almost $500,000.
$500,000.
It says 11,000, 12,000, 12,000. Yeah, that's $500,000.
Yeah.
12,500. But she doesn't request a mill. She requests a dollar number.
Dollar fair.
Yeah.
Yep. And so then those none of their expenses or any of their financial stuff goes through the Griggs County. It's all through Nelson. So even still, right now, we still have these funds. They will submit a voucher to us to get these to go to Nelson County. So then we'll pay that one out.
And this is the same as was requested for 2021.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody okay with the generals?
Good.
Other than the
Reserve.
reserve.
Reserve, yeah.
Still searching.
So we'll just keep these ones just.
Still
wait, wait,
searching.
B16, Social Security, those are just formulas. Once we do anything with the salaries, it automatically does these, so that's what they are.
Okay.
IT, we've taken those two things out, so we're good there. Insurance. State fire and tornado is going up 14%. With state fire and tornado, it does not cover this building. The reason for that is because Griggs County does not own this building. It is owned by the building authority. Griggs County owns the EOC side. The building authority owns everything else, and there's not a fire wall dividing the two. So state fire and tornado will not take this over. They do cover the
General liability.
and that all the equipment that's in here, like
Contents.
the contents of that's in here, but not the building itself.
Of
So
course.
there's not much to do on this insurance fund, but okay, good.
So, and then that health insurance is just that 0.14% that's gone up, and that's that.
Everybody okay with the insurance?
Yeah, I think we've tried in the past sending them a letter to request that we get covered by the.
They've come in and they've looked at the building.
Yeah.
I mean, they really,
They
yeah.
forwarded it on to the State Historical Society.
Yeah.
So, there's that. Sheriff's budget, we're just gonna wait on that one until the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
How come?
Amber was not
Available.
available and,
But she produced this
Is this
one?
what she submitted?
nope, you guys asked me to move those, last year's numbers over,
Oh.
so that's what I did.
Well, this one looks good. Well, I mean, really,
Yeah.
just because we change sheriffs doesn't mean we should have an increase in
Yeah.
costs.
Mhm.
I mean, you could move the numbers around, no doubt,
Yep.
but the overall it shouldn't cost more money to have a change in sheriff.
She will be available at the next meeting.
Yep.
Okay, next meeting.
Next one is the corner. That one's always been the same. We either use it or we don't.
Okay.
Can't really,
Kinda like that.
can't really estimate what
Either.
it's gonna be, so there's that. DES, you
okay.
guys have done. Superintendent of schools, I would like to get paid a little bit more than that. I'm just kidding. We'll just continue on. Courtroom grants were good. Now you guys are out of the general fund.
Why
Would
do
you-
we even have a superintendent?
Superintendent of schools is actually by century code, you have to have it, and a lot of it is because of the annexation stuff. I don't really know. I hold the title, but I have divvied out all of the duties to different people. If we do have an annexation,
She should be
Jamie
doing-
would take over that.
She's supposed to be doing spelling bees.
I'm supposed to be doing
Yeah.
spelling bees and school bus trainings, school bus driver trainings, and
It's an antiquated.
it's,
Is this
that
something
all
we
went
talk
to the
our
school, like every
legislators about
school
and have them
takes care of it
eliminate this?
themselves.
Is it-
That's funny.
It's something left over when there's one-room schoolhouses.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
This is
Basically,
funny.
And so then the one duty that I take care of is I hold all of the old school records. And so the, back in the day, it wasn't, that you had to have a birth certificate, so now or something about the birth certificate. So now, if you don't have your birth certificate, you can show an old school record to, get your birth certificate or get something. And so I hold all of those, and so every
Did
once in a
ever
while
have anybody come in and request?
we actually do. It's not very common, but yes, every once in a while, it's more common than you'd think.
a lot of people looking at their genealogy and family history.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yep. Yep.
But I mean, originally, the superintendent of schools
Yes.
was to settle disputes between one-room schools on where the students should go and how the money was allocated
Yeah.
from the taxpayer,
Yeah.
and they were basically an arbiter. Yeah.
Well, and then they had, I believe they had yearly exams, so that,
Yeah, they the competency of the school, of
Yes.
of the teachers, absolutely. It's no different, it's just on a bigger scale now.
yeah.
Would you like to stop there, or do you like to keep going?
Quit for.
I'd like to call today myself.
Yeah. The soup's almost on.
We'll find out from where the rest of that money went.
The only thing I can think of is that state aid. That state aid,
Oh, the revenue went down?
the revenue for the actuals went down. We didn't receive much, and now we're estimating that we're receiving 400.
Oh, so our revenue is decreased?
Our revenue was increased.
Well, that won't do
Yeah,
it.
no, that doesn't do it.
That doesn't fix
That
anything.
makes it worse.
Yeah, I know.
Where's the page where the overall expenditures are?
That's that one. That's the B4 and the B5.
And it's itemized, so which one went up all that money?
Nothing. None of them. They went down.
I know that.
Yeah.
I look at those, so it's the old famous Chinese detective. Something wrong.
I know.
We gotta find it. Well, let's end on that note. I make a motion to adjourn. Well, I mean, we do have a glitch in the software somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think we had this last year that we couldn't figure it out, and it was that state aid that we were.
No, that's the opposite direction.
I know. So Mark, I don't have a second.
Second.
Motion by Mark to adjourn, seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.